Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Let's get started with episode 46. It's clear that their minds are on coming home at this point. And you can tell how excited they're getting. It's September, and they won't be going home, I don't think, until the following June. But I guess they're more than halfway there. So there's quite a bit of talk about getting suits made in these letters and or outer coats. I did some research into what they would have looked like. And no wonder they were psyched about being able to get these designer-type clothes. Very excited about the quality of the fabric they have access to and the cost of it. So one of my favorite movies ever came out in 1954, Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn. And the clothes in that movie were one of my favorite things, my favorite clothes ever. So they have the mix of the tight skirts, the tight pants, but then also the poofy 1950s, I think of what my mom wore to the prom dresses, and with sweaters. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Letter 142 from Bern, written the 6th of September, 1954. Hi, folks. Happy Labor Day to you. Peg and I have had our holiday weekend and are back unpacked, bathed, hair washed, etc. On Monday morning. What do you think of that? We left Saturday noon for the Gora, a new special services hotel in Hakone National Park. A magnificently gorgeous galaxy of scenery, very high in the mountains. Both of us had been in that area before, but we wanted to see the new hotel, which had formerly belonged to the Japanese. It's very modernistic in design and furnishings, but the program of activities was the same, absolutely the same as at any of the other places, and the same faces which usually look at us from our own club here in camp. We're up there for the weekend too. We didn't have reservations at the Gora for Saturday night, only for Sunday, so we went down the road a piece to the Fujiya Hotel, and in the morning, Sunday morning that is, we simultaneously agreed that to repack our bags, go back up to the Gora, wait around until a room was vacated for us, talk and dance with the same old crowd was just more bother than it was worth. So we checked out of the Fujiya after breakfast and came home. For dinner last night, we went up here to the club for the buffet, which the menu consisted of baked ham, cold roast beef, shrimp salad, tossed green salad, potato salad, chicken casserole, which I thought was delicious, pork chop suey, tomatoes, carrots, celery, several kinds of cheeses, olives, rolls, and French pastry. And after thoroughly enjoying that repast, we were surprised by the singing of the Melodiers, a trio consisting of 3 DACs who entertained us briefly by singing popular songs. And they were very polished. So you see, once more we discover that although the grass may look greener on the other side of the fence, it ain't necessarily so. Tonight, one of our special service package shows, the training of which I've already told you about, is scheduled to entertain at the club. The group has just completed a very successful tour in Korea. The show has been planned so that it could be presented with as few props as possible and has made the trip through Korea on a special Army train so that it could reach as many of the Boondocks outfits as possible. Judging from the many enthusiastic letters which have poured in from unit commanders, it was highly appreciated. So I'm looking forward to seeing it tonight. I've discovered a new arts and crafts shop in Yokohama, which specializes entirely in handmade things. I've already bought myself a lovely bamboo pocketbook and have made a mental list of at least 1 million other things I would like to purchase. Perhaps it's a mighty good thing that the free government bus service has ceased, and a trip to Yoko will now cost the magnificent sum of 100 yen. One of the immediate projects which Peg and I have in mind is the purchasing of a projector on which to show our slides. Knowing absolutely nothing about photographic equipment, I was amazed to learn that the projector, which is highly recommended for our type of camera slides, costs only $30. None of the PXs or ship stores in this area have this model, so we plan to take off work on Wednesday and make a trip down to the Navy base in Yokosuka, where we bought the camera. Peg has already phoned down there and found out they carry them. So our next batch of slides and narratives will be delayed in reaching you because we are viewing them so we can view them, or we're holding them so we can view them on our new projector. Before I forget it again, I will tell you about Christmas suggestions. I don't want to accumulate anything more than necessary in the way of clothes this winter because of having to pack them for the return trip. I could use more panties. In spite of my careful instructions, I'm sure Hideko-san irons them or spreads them on the radiator to dry, and the elastic becomes stretched in an impossibly short time. Believe me, I've had some narrow escapes due to unrealistic or unreliable elastic. Well, to get back to Christmas, I'd like some more panties, some perfume or cologne. Fabergé products and Avon are my favorites. And then just concentrate on food, cookies, pretzels, all kinds, and more bologna and cheese or anything else good that you can think of. We're still enjoying some of the jelly and have given some of it away because it lasts so long it might spoil if we were selfish. If Daddy wants to, I think it would be nice if he would buy some records and mark them for me to enjoy when I get home. That record player is going to see heavy duty, I can promise you. Sometimes they have good bargains on records here too, so I'll keep you informed so we don't buy the same ones. That's all I can think of that I want. Food for another bang-up Christmas party and for our own use afterwards would be greatly appreciated. Do you remember reading to Shirley my description of a typical Japanese tea ceremony? Well, she wrote to me a short time after that, and she gave me a version of her kind of tea ceremony, American style. Comparing the two is hysterically funny. I read part of Mrs. Vining's description and then Shirley's to a couple of folks who attended the affair, and all agreed that the comparison was hilarious. I'm enclosing a copy of the paragraph Shirley wrote so that you two can compare it with the version I sent. Don't you agree? The other enclosure is for Helen-san. Love, Burn. P.S. Helen, if you do get the doctor's permission to go on the Mayo Clinic diet, don't stay on for more than 2 weeks at a time. My experience is that 10 days is long enough at one time. After that, it does something to your sense of balance, and you become slightly nauseated. At least that's how it affected me. I lost 4 pounds in about 8 days, but I'm staying off for another week before trying again. For Helen, this surely was a poem that was written as a thank you, and it's for you. The Blue Bowl, written by Blanche Cooter. All day long, I did the little things that do not show. I brought kindling for the fire. I set the candles in a row. I filled the bowl with marigolds, the shallow bowl you love the best, and made the house a pleasant place where weariness might take a rest. The hours sped on. My eager feet could not keep pace with my desire. So much to do, so little time. I could not let my body tire. Yet when the coming of the night blotted the garden from my sight, and on the narrow gravelled walks between the guarding flower stalks, I heard your step. I was not through with services I meant for you. You came into the quiet room that glowed enchanted with the bloom of yellow flame. I saw your face illumined by the firelit space. Slowly grow still and comforted. It's good to be home, you said. Oh, isn't that sweet? I like that. I like that poem. Never heard it before. Shirley's tea ceremony. As I read your description of the tea ceremony, I thought of mine. Dash into the kitchen, grab a small saucepan, quick to the spigot. That's enough. On the stove now. Turn on the gas, full speed ahead. Now while it boils, first to the cupboard, grab a cup, then 2 sugar cubes from the bowl. Now sprint to the other side of the room. Hurry. A tea ball from the canister. Bang the door. Collect all items on the table. Water hot enough? Good. Now slop over tea ball. Bang pan back to the stove. Just remembered hot water heater isn't lit. So while the tea steeps, dash to the cellar. Now up again. Oh, just in time. Haul out the tea ball and deposit it in the saucepan, just in case I want a second cup. Add a little milk. Looks good. 1 warm, sweet, slow sip. Mama, followed by 2 quick gulps. Coming, baby. Somehow I think the Japanese will live a whole lot longer than I will. This is letter 143 from Peg, written the 7th of September, 1954. Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, not too much news to report this time, but I'll try my best to dig up a Scotia bit for you. Had a fair weekend. I'm absolutely positively finished with men, and I intend to stay that way. Of course, Bern and Gladys just holler and laugh when I tell them, but I really mean it. I'm so sick and tired of listening to them chatter because they don't say anything. They just go on and on until you finally get to the point where you know what a man's going to say before he even opens his mouth. I was even actually rude to a fellow up at the club last night. So running true to form, he wanted me to have lunch with him today. Getting out of that one, he wanted me to have dinner with him tonight. Have a no. I don't even care if I'm rude to them anymore. We went up to the Gora Hotel on Saturday and came back home on Sunday because, number one, the same old crowd from Zama was up there, and it was just like being home at Zama because there was hardly anyone new to meet. So we decided to come home the next morning. Number two, the new ones we did meet had the same old line of crap, so we headed home on Sunday morning. Sunday, we just fooled around and read in the afternoon and went to the club for buffet in the evening. Yesterday, we slept late. I slept until 11. Then went up to the club last evening for dinner. Gladys, Bern, and I were having a pretty good time until some silly men joined us. That's when I started getting rude. There must be something wrong with me because I usually like men, but they show me less than nothing right now. I guess it's because we meet so many of them, millions more than we'd meet back home, and they're all silly. That doesn't include you, though, Daddy, because you're interesting. And Bern, Gladys, and I often say how we'd be so glad to get home to talk to sensible men for a change. This is a real odd weathery day. It was raining when we came to work. Then the sun came out for a while. Since then, it's been raining and shining spasmodically, and it's terrifically hot and humid. The weatherman says it's going to be up to 90 degrees. Oh, I almost forgot. Friday night, Kathy, her boyfriend, and I went over to Atsugi, and I drove home. The first time in 14 months. I got my driver's license, Japanese, not too long ago because Kathy said I could drive her car if I got my license. All I had to do was show the Provost Marshal's office my stateside license, and one was issued to me. So I drove home from Atsugi on Friday night. Gee, it felt so good to be behind a steering wheel again. I was real proud of myself. The latest news over here, and I imagine back home, too, is the shooting down of another Navy plane by Russian MIGs. The Navy plane was attached to one of the Navy squadrons at Atsugi. Just wonder how long the U.S. is going to stand for this Mickey Mouse. Sure is grim, nay? However, don't y'all worry about us, because we'll be okay. I don't know what to what extent the papers back home blow up such incidents, or how the editorials in the papers spout off on such things. But just rest assured that we're well taken care of, and we will be in case anything drastic comes up. I don't mean to alarm you unnecessarily, but folks have told us that things like this are really blown up in the stateside papers. We have the bug now to have some winter clothes made. There's a store in Yokohama that sells British woolens, cashmeres, gabardines, etc. So we're going to shop there on Saturday and see what gives. Those peaches sure sounded wonderful, Mother, and made me so hungry for a peach shortcake. But then I get starving hungry for roast chicken, sweet potatoes, Lebanon bologna, fresh fruit, pretzels, and believe me, I could go on for pages about what I get hungry for from back home. I'm pretty tired of steak, believe it or not. The menu at the club never changes except for the specials that they have every night, and usually the specials aren't worth the money. A couple of times a week, I have a number 8, which is a minute steak, well done, French fried onions, lima beans, tossed green salad with Roquefort dressing, roll and butter, and tea. Sounds pretty good, but I get tired of eating it so often. I'm due for a trip to Joe's or Hansa's, and then the heck with the diet. I just got a note from Joyce Givler thanking us for the shells. I'm glad she liked them. Really can't think of anything more to say. We'll do better next time. Tell everyone I said hello. By the way, you said in your last letter that Bets was meek as a lamb when she finally called. I knew she would be, didn't you? So, you know, it wasn't anything you did or said. Take real good care of yourselves. Talk us in love. Me.
So when is a person dead? The Victorians believed it was when breathing stops, or when the soul departs, when no one remembers the person, or when their name is no longer uttered. Coming in the fall of 2025, explore my father's side of the family. It also happens to be President William McKinley's. Join me, Lavinia, Katie, Elsie, Hazel, Blaine, and David for Deep Below, a new podcast by Cussewago Productions, available wherever you get your podcasts and at www.deepbelowpodcast.com.
Letter 144 from Bern, written the 12th of September, 1954. Dear Helen and Daddy, never let it be said I do not love you. Here is proof positive. Peg and I have just returned from the library, and there are 4 unopened, challenging, interesting, and worthwhile books standing in front of me on this writing table, and instead of diving into them head first, I'm sitting here writing to you. Isn't that most convincing? Shortly after daybreak this morning, I was positive I was back in my room at 526 Maclay Street, and it was with a distinct shock I opened my eyes to see this room in California Hall. Did I remember to tell you each billet now has a name? The reason for this bewilderment is this. Several fire engines were whizzing by with the sirens streaming, and since I usually have heard fire engines chugging up Maclay Street Hill, my half-asleep, half-awake self assumed that's where they were. What a blow to find them busy at the office building across the street. I met Peg in the latrine a short time later, and she said she too thought she was at home. The fire must have been a very small one, for they left very quickly, and no one seems to know anything about what happened this morning. I've had a right interesting weekend. On Friday night, Peg, Gladys, and I were invited to the home of a young Japanese boy and his wife for a sukiyaki dinner. During the day, he called Gladys and said they were also inviting a sergeant from his office, and the sergeant would pick us up in his car. That was fine with us, and we kidded back and forth with each other about sharing him. Peg was not interested, as she is temporarily off men. We had a fine, enjoyable evening with lots of fun and some very good conversation, too. On Saturday afternoon, I was invited to a cocktail party aboard the luxury liner, the President Wilson. An office friend was sailing on a fabulous trip halfway around the world, and another gal in the office was giving the party for her. I went with Jackie LeMay and her husband, and since the majority of the guests, about 50 or 60 people were there, were from our office, or right here at camp. I had a fine time gabbing and really drooling over the luxurious appointments of this ship as compared with the Army transports we used. A large gymnasium with all sorts of equipment, a beautiful swimming pool, a very swank ballroom, and a darling children's playroom with papier-mâché houses big enough for children to walk into, and all sorts of games, etc., were just a few of the home-away-from-home atmosphere which all of the President's Line ships boast. Imagine living in the lap of luxury in this manner, all the while the ship is plowing through the waters to take you to such romantic and faraway places as the Philippine Islands, Hong Kong, India, Ceylon, and finally to Italy, where you will disembark and go by train to Genoa, Florence, Rome, and then to France and Germany, before finally taking another ship to the United States. Of course, Skippy has been here for over 4 years, and she is the top man in charge of entertainment programs for the troops in Japan and Korea. And her annual salary is approximately $9,000, so she can well afford this. Nevertheless, she is a lucky gal, but one who deserves all this, for she is one person who does not stint one bit in giving her best to the job. Just since I have known her, she has given more off-duty hours to planning her program and training soldiers and being on the spot when their shows are being produced than any other person connected with the entire Special Services program. She's a fine person. Afterwards, Jackie and Stan took me to the Golden Dragon, where I met Peg and Gladys, and we went over to, guess where, Original Joe's for supper. They were bubbling with news and enthusiasm over the materials they had seen, ordered, and more they were going to order from a Hong Kong tailor who has a sub-store in Yokohama. I had been with them earlier in the afternoon and had seen some of the samples, and I guess I will succumb too to having a suit or top coat made. There was some luscious Angora cashmere in several colors, and the quoted price for a lady's top coat, material, and tailoring included was $70. This is the quality I see advertised in Vogue, Glamour, and Charm for $185 and up. How can I resist? What do you think? The trip home last night by bus was lovely. There was a full moon, and the sky was unusually beautiful with cloud formations and contrasting shadows. Sugai had mentioned the previous night that this was the season for the traditional moon viewing ceremonies, when families gather together for a feast and then push aside the sliding doors of their homes and sit for hours on the tatami mats, enjoying the beauties of the moonlit night. Non-Christians offer food to the gods too at this time, but these people can teach us so much in the art of taking time to appreciate beauty. Of course, beauty is all around us in every part of the world, but we Americans tend to rush around too much to ever take time to see it. True? Let me tell you this story about Gladys's nephew, Tommy. He's about 6 or 7, I think. His mother instructed him to go wash his hands before coming to the table, and he protested because he could see no dirt on them. She went on to explain that we wash our hands not only when there is visible dirt, but also to remove germs, which might be there. Germs, Santa Claus, and God. And you can't see any one of them? He said. Good reasoning for a 6-year-old, huh? Chaplain Whipple's fine sermon this morning was built around the theme, "Except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die," and was up to his usual standard. He has spoiled us, I fear, for lighter lights. Lighter lights. Because we were all disappointed in the Bible study teacher when we attended class last Tuesday night. He offended my conservative, dignified, Lutheran-trained soul in the sloppy and casual manner in which he read the passages and the haste with which he ran over them. Peg took a dislike to him when he literally threw a Bible on a chair for a prospective student. I'm sure he means well, but he has that, "oh, I'm just one of the boys" manner, which too many chaplains seem to feel they must assume among the troops, and which I'm convinced doesn't accomplish one thing except to lose the respect for themselves. Gladys intends to continue, but until they assign another teacher, I'm not going back. True, we should be more interested in the word than in the instrument of teaching, but when the instrument gets in the way, I can't learn anything anyway. Now, regarding my finances, the next payday is September 22nd. I will send a money order then, which should cover the next installment of insurances, which come due around the 7th and 11th of October, I believe. Just hold off paying till then, please. Take care of yourselves and have fun. Much love, Vern. P.S. Honestly, this is a lousy typewriter. Letter 145 from Peg, written the 13th of September, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, no letter from you yet. Maybe it's being delayed because of the typhoon. Oh yes, Typhoon June is expected at any time now. The worst one since many years ago. It has rained a little this morning, but we're supposed to get a big blast of wind and rain this evening or tomorrow. Anyhow, we're secure and will not get blown away. On top of the excitement about anticipating the intensity of the storm, the Japanese workers in army installations are striking today and tomorrow. Some of them who work in offices are billeted overnight here at camp in order to be able to come to work. Those not having billets or sleeping accommodations of any kind will be docked 2 days' pay, and they certainly hate to lose the money. They get such a meager salary as it is. That 2 days' pay makes a difference to them. None of the maids are working, although Kaneko came in yesterday to make up 1 day. We're supposed to dock them 2 days too, but I'm not going to do it. She's such a good worker and so conscientious. Besides, it's too much trouble to figure out how much she makes a day. I gave her 3 summer dresses that I'm tired of seeing in my closet, and she was all shook up about it. Speaking of clothes, Gladys Byrne and I now have the clothes bug in the worst way. Saturday, Gladys and I ordered material from Mohan's, a Hong Kong outfit in Yokohama. I ordered a beige gabardine for a suit, and she ordered gray flannel. We'll have the suits made by stateside tailors, who are supposed to be about the best in this area. The material comes to $21, and the tailoring will be about $14, so not bad, eh? I also bought some lime-colored corduroy, and the stateside is making me a suit out of it. It will cost about $15 all told. Now, if they do a good job on the tailoring, I'm planning to have pretty many suits made, because the material from Mohans is all British material and just lovely. A suit a month is the program, although I know I can't possibly afford it. However, we're going Scotia mad clipping pictures of suits, coats, etc. from Glamour, Vogue, and Harper's Bazaar. I worked Saturday morning, did the suit shopping Saturday afternoon, and we ate at Joe's in the evening. Yesterday we went to church, read in the afternoon, and ate at the club. It wasn't a very exciting weekend except for the shopping. Vern and I are going to Yokosuka on Wednesday to buy a projector so we can have real movie pictures with our slides. Friday night, the three of us were invited to a Japanese friend's of Gladys's house for sukiyaki. His name is Sugai, which means refreshment, so we call him Coca-Cola. His wife's name is Aki, which means autumn. Coca-Cola called Gladys to make arrangements with her and told her that the sergeant would pick us up because he was also invited to the party. That was fine. No fighting the Japanese trains. So we were at the gate as the specified time, and up drives a brown 53 Ford. There were two of them, and they were very nice, and the evening was fun. We had to sit on the floor, naturally, and the sukiyaki was pretty good. Akai made it over hibachi and served all of us, and Sugai, but she wouldn't eat with us because, as Sugai explained, Japanese women never eat with their guests. We didn't eat all the sukiyaki, so finally she picked up the pan from the middle of the table and went outside and ate. They also served us sake, the first time I've had any. It doesn't have much of a taste, but I imagine it would give you quite a jolt if you drank a lot of it. It comes in a bottle similar to a ginger ale bottle and is clear colored. Then it's poured into a little crockery jug, and the jug is placed in boiling water. When the sake is hot, she pours it from the jug into a teeny tiny little cup without handles, and you drink it hot. As I said, it's rather tasteless, sweet, and not bad at all. Anyhow, at least I've sampled sake. I was afraid I'd never get the chance after being here 14 months and not having had any. My job is still okay. We're still waiting for Betty's replacement, so there isn't too much time to waste or be idle. We're, by the way, behind on our filing, but Mary and I both hate to file and put it off as long as possible. Oh, I forgot to finish about Friday evening. Well, we had the sukiyaki and sat around and talked, but after a while our backs started to hurt. We made our exits and the sergeants drove us home. Did I ever tell you that I'm wearing my hair quite short these days? Folks like it very much, and I'm planning to keep it this way. It's real curly now, and so easy to keep in place. Not much other news at present. I'll keep this open till tonight, and maybe I'll have a letter from you this afternoon. Bye now. No letter at all, and I suppose mail will be delayed a few days because June is really acting up. Down in Kyushu, she washed out 2 bridges, 5 roads, and flooded and damaged 5,800 Japanese homes. She's supposed to be up here tomorrow morning. Maybe she'll take AFFE with her, and it wouldn't be much of a loss, believe me. The strikers stayed out at the gate all day. This evening they sang for a while, but they've gone home now. Someone said that they get so pepped up about strikes because they've never had an opportunity to express themselves like this. True. But just think, I had to make my own bed and wash out my girdle today. Gads. But the washing and ironing for real are going to wait till Wednesday, believe me. Take real good care of yourselves and have fun. Tagus in love, Cosmo. That's short for Cosmopolitan. So this is just a little information I'm going to throw in here. Typhoon June was a large, strong, devastating typhoon that severely impacted the west and central areas of mainland Japan, causing scores of deaths and heavy devastation. A large storm, it was the 10th storm to be tracked during the 54 Pacific typhoon season. 107 people were confirmed to have been killed by the typhoon in the country, while 39 were missing. Over 180,000 people were flooded, and 39,000 homes were destroyed completely. Along with Typhoon Lorna that struck the Yokohama area, June was responsible for $300 million in damage in 1954 money. Floods were also experienced across the Korean Peninsula due to the typhoon. The troops of the ROK and U.S. were forced to seek higher ground as their military bases were flooded. Dams were also reported to have been nearing their high water levels. The typhoon is also responsible for the highest wind speed being recorded at that time before it was surpassed in 2010. I confess, I'm a huge fan of ships. I was really impressed with the SS President Wilson. The SS President Wilson was launched in 1948 by the Bethlehem Shipbuilding Company in Alameda, California. For over 2 decades, the Wilson and its sister ship, the second SS President Cleveland, transported passengers on the Trans-Pacific Service and the round-the-world service for American President lines. In particular, the President Wilson and President Cleveland carried immigrants and returning families between San Francisco and the Philippines, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and Southeast Asia. The President Wilson was also one of the last of the American ocean liners before it was rendered obsolete by cheaper jet-based airliners. In 1970, it was the very last APL passenger ship to cruise the round-the-world service. In 1973, APL sold both the Wilson and the President Cleveland to the Oceanic Cruise Development Company in Hong Kong. The Wilson was renamed the Oriental Empress, and the Cleveland was renamed the Oriental President. The Empress cruised the round-the-world service for a few more months before the global oil crisis of the 1970s began. The Oriental President was scrapped in 1974, and the Oriental Empress was scrapped in 1984. Here is a circle. So I've also seen the circa 1950s promotional video for the President Wilson, and I will put that up on the website. I also looked up to see what Skippy's $9,000 salary would be today, $107,000. And that $70 coat would cost $832 if you bought it today. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com, where I posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Bern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.